Welcome to This Explainer. Look, we've all seen examples of bad leadership, right? But today, we're talking about flipping the traditional model completely on its head. We're exploring a profoundly impactful concept, how true leaders don't just, direct traffic, but actually help others grow, succeed, and hit their absolute full potential. If you've ever felt that the standard corporate ladder feels a little backwards, well, you are definitely in the right place.
So let's start by challenging the traditional mindset. We're so used to thinking of leadership as being in charge, sitting at the very top and holding all the cards. But I want you to consider what happens when you prioritize taking care of the people in your charge rather than just being in charge of them. What if relinquishing that traditional grip on power is actually the secret to unlocking unprecedented team performance? Crazy, right? But it works.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. Flipping the script. 2. Empathy and humility first. 3. The proof of service. 4. Servant leadership in action. 5. Strength, not weakness. And finally, 6. Creating your lasting impact.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, flipping the script, a true paradigm shift in management.
Think about the traditional management pyramid. It's usually all command and control, built entirely on authority and power. Basically, you work for the boss. But servant leadership, it totally flips that dynamic upside down. The leader steps into a role focused entirely on serving others first. You're no longer a commander, you are a coach. Your job isn't telling people how to do their jobs, it's providing them with the exact tools, guidance, and environment they need to crush it on their own.
To give credit where it's due, this modern concept was developed by Robert K. Greenleaf back in 1970. He gave us this incredibly powerful framework built squarely on trust. The fundamental idea he proposed was simple, but honestly kind of radical at the time. A leader's primary, overarching job is just to serve their team. It's an active, daily choice to put your team members' needs first so they can reach their full potential, both professionally and personally.
Moving right along to Section 2, Empathy and Humility First. These are the absolute engines of trust.
So, let's look at how this builds. You need high emotional intelligence for this to work, because without the right internal wiring, the external actions just fall flat. Servant leadership involves traits like active listening, high integrity, and a focus on empowering others. But listen, if we really boil this down to its absolute essence, this entire philosophy runs on 2 core engines: empathy and humility. Without these 2 deeply ingrained skills, the rest of the framework just collapses. Let's really zero in on these.
First up, empathy. And I want to be clear here. Empathy isn't just some soft skill designed to make people feel warm and fuzzy. It is a hardcore strategic tool. It's the ability to deeply understand and share the feelings, perspectives, and challenges of your team. When you lead with high empathy, you spot burnout before it happens, you instantly understand why a project is stalling out, and you connect with your people as whole human beings, not just, cogs in a corporate machine. And paired right next to that empathy is true humility. This means consciously setting aside your own ego. It means admitting you don't have all the answers, and you definitely don't need to take all the credit. Humility lets you gladly step right out of the spotlight so you can elevate the people around you. When you mix the deep understanding of empathy with the selflessness of humility, boom, you've got an unbreakable foundation of trust with your team.
Now, does this actually work? Let's hit Section 3, the proof of service and the ROI of servant leadership.
You might be thinking, okay, sounds great in theory, but does this actually hold up in the cutthroat modern workplace? The answer is a massive yes. Prioritizing your team's needs isn't just a nice thing to do, it's a huge competitive advantage. Leading with that empathy and humility we just talked about makes employee engagement skyrocket simply because people actually feel valued. That drops your turnover rate, which saves companies an unbelievable amount of time and money. The culture shifts to high trust and morale, and teamwork just flourishes, which clears the way for high-level innovation. The proof is in the metrics. Serving your team drives serious, tangible results.
Let's look at what this looks like day to day in Section 4, Servant Leadership in Action, Everyday Application.
To bring this completely down to earth, imagine a project is falling way behind schedule. Instead of storming into the room, barking orders, or assigning blame, a servant leader does 4 specific things. First, they coach rather than command, asking questions to guide the team to their own solution. Second, they actively remove obstacles. They ask, what is blocking you right now, and how can I get it out of your way? Third, they support team development by treating the roadblock as a learning moment. And fourth, when the project gets back on track, they deflect the praise and celebrate the team's success.
Which brings us to a really important point in Section 5, strength, not weakness, and the accountability myth. We absolutely have to talk about this hurdle. A lot of new managers worry that being a servant leader makes you a total pushover, that you're weak or you lack authority. It's a very fair question. If you are so laser-focused on empathy and humility, do your performance expectations just go out the window? Does empathy literally mean you just accept mediocre work?
The answer is a resounding no. Empathy and high standards absolutely must coexist. Servant leadership is not a weakness. It actually requires massive emotional regulation and strength. You still have to hold people fiercely accountable. The magic isn't how you do it. You balance support with performance expectations. You can deeply empathize with someone's struggles, get them the tools they need to succeed, and still make it crystal clear that the standard has to be met. You lead with compassion and accountability, never sacrificing one for the other.
Let's wrap things up with Section 6, Creating Your Lasting Impact, Your Leadership Journey.
Let's pull all of this together and think about the legacy you want to leave. This quote really nails the core of our explainer today. True leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of the people in your charge. When you fully adopt this mindset, your whole definition of success transforms. Your success is no longer measured by your own personal output or title. It is measured entirely by the output, the growth, and the overall well-being of the people you serve.
Mahatma Gandhi's timeless wisdom echoes this beautifully. He reminds us that stepping back in humility to elevate someone else isn't a sacrifice of your own identity. It is actually how we find our own true purpose as leaders. By making it about them, you inevitably become the highly impactful leader you were always meant to be.
So, as you move forward in your own career, whether you're managing a team of 2 or a massive company of 2,000, remember those twin engines we discussed, empathy and humility. Listen actively, check your ego at the door, and really see the human beings behind the work. Lead with genuine heart. Serve with a clear purpose. That is exactly how you create an impact that lasts long after you've left the room.
I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Look at your team right now. Are they working just to serve your bottom line, or are you actually working to serve their highest potential? It's a huge distinction, and your answer might just dictate the future of your entire organization. So, how will you serve your team today?